The CEO's wife never imagined it in her wildest dreams. The CEO had always suspected it, though. She never thought of it, not even in her dreams. She was merely out searching for a way to solve the company's problems. When she returned, she found the enormous company completely deserted. Not even a single bill remained in the office. It was then that she realized she had been deceived by everyone. She was like a dog thrown into the water, angry and helpless. Her relatives and friends all avoided her like the plague. Only I stayed by her side. I helped her with laundry and cooking. I assisted her in making a comeback. We sought warmth in each other's arms during the dark nights. We did all the intimate things. She told me she had fallen in love with me. But just 1 month before the wedding, her white moonlight returned from abroad. The two passionately kissed in front of the media's cameras. I didn't approach. I just threw away the engagement ring. Young love can never be taken seriously. 1 month before the wedding, I specially went to the mountain temple to pray for a safety talisman. The words on the talisman were engraved by my own hand. Ruyan, may you be safe year after year. Liu Ruyan is now my girlfriend. In half a month, she will be my wife. I want to see the talisman around her neck. A smile couldn't help but appear at the corner of my mouth. But in the end, the talisman was never given to her. Because Liu Ruyan's white moonlight returned 1 month before our wedding. He Kong is a famous star. The day he announced his return from abroad, he directly topped the trending charts. His fans voluntarily edited countless videos. They posted them online. The entire internet was flooded. The white moonlight had returned. And alongside him, my fiancé Liu Ruyan was mentioned. Everyone knew. He Kong and Liu Ruyan were childhood sweethearts. They had fallen in love when they were young. They were the most important people in each other's lives. When He Kong first entered the entertainment industry, his early Weibo posts were all about Liu Ruyan. He wrote songs for her. He shared photos of them kissing under the sunset. They were youthful and innocent. The photos were as beautiful as a painting. At that time, the Liu family had bankrupt and was at its peak. The only young lady of the family would visit the set when He Kong was filming. She would happily play with him on set. Everyone thought they would eventually get together. But no one expected I would beat them to it. After the Liu family went bankrupt, He Kong quickly went abroad to develop his career. I appeared by Liu Ruyan's side. I stayed with her as she made her comeback. I stayed with her as she cleaned up the fallen empire. I looked at the comments section. The calls for them to get back together were deafening. A sharp pain surged through my chest. As expected, I was blasted by fans and ended up trending. The third party, Fang Yuan. Can you just die? Let my son and daughter get back together. The mistress, Fang Yuan. It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, they'd be together right now. Eventually, they even organized a wave of Fang Yuan, go die. Fang Yuan, go die. I felt like I was drowning, tightly bound by seaweed, unable to move. I stared at the screen, filled with filthy words. It felt like I was back in that endless bullying from my youth. After a long while, I finally found my voice again. With trembling hands, I lit a cigarette. The cigarette burned my hand. Only then did I snap back to reality. I quickly snuffed out the cigarette. I called Liu Ruyan. 6 months ago, she had accepted my confession. Her tone was playful and gentle. Fang Yuan, brother, thank you for being there when I was at my lowest. I like you so much. That's why I promised you. We'll be fine. She rested her head on my shoulder. I closed my eyes and thought, no matter how noisy the internet gets, I should listen to Liu Ruyan's explanation. As long as she says it, I'll believe it. The phone kept ringing, but no one answered. When the call ended, I saw a new message pop up on Weibo. I shakily clicked to open it. The message read, the eldest daughter of the Liu family is suspected of rekindling a romance with the popular movie star. The photo was taken this morning. The woman in the photo was wearing a high-end skirt suit. She had a smile at the corner of her mouth. Her eyes gently looked at the handsome man beside her. That man was Kong. The angle of the photo was perfect. A handsome man and a beautiful woman. Even from my awkward position, they looked like a stunning match. Before long, the CP fans were celebrating. I felt like I had suddenly been thrust into an ice storm. My heart and chest felt cold and bitter. At 2 a.m., Liu Ruyan finally came back. She smelled strongly of alcohol. The light from the hallway shone into the dark living room, casting a small patch of brightness. Only then did I realize I had been sitting on the couch since I came home. My body was stiff. You haven't slept? Liu Ruyan turned on the lights. The warm yellow light brightened the living room. I couldn't help but shield my eyes with my hand. Tears filled my eyes. So tired. Come help me with a massage. She was still wearing the dress from earlier. Her long hair hung down. Her makeup was bright and elegant. Her smile was a deep crimson. Her eyes were hazy from the alcohol. She lazily kicked off her high heels. Then she lay down on the couch. I glanced at her. There was a certain distance between us. This distance wasn't long, but it felt like an insurmountable chasm between us. Kekong returned. The moment he spoke, I realized my throat hurt terribly. My voice was hoarse, almost unrecognizable. He looked at me in surprise, his eyes filled with exhaustion. Well, I felt like my heart was soaking in salt water. The pain unbearable. I asked softly, "Do you like me? Just say you like me." His eyes suddenly cleared. He avoided my question. He stood up and went into the study to work. As he passed me, he casually threw out, "Stop it already. Are you annoying? I'm already exhausted." The words I wanted to ask were caught in my throat. I was left speechless. She rubbed her forehead, her face full of impatience. "I will marry you. Don't worry." I sat in the quiet living room. After a long while, I managed a bitter smile. What I wanted was never this. If I wanted money and status, then 3 years ago, when Liu Ruyan was at her lowest, her relatives and friends all avoided her like the plague. They wouldn't even show up by her side. I was the one who stayed with her, helping her climb out of the depths, step by step. But Liu Ruyan never noticed this. Or maybe she just didn't care. She didn't care about me. The next afternoon, I woke up gradually from the couch. My head was pounding. My whole body ached. Only then did I realize I had been so exhausted last night. I had spent the whole night on the couch. No one cared. No one bothered to drape a coat over me at night. The spring in the northern city was still very cold. My head was spinning. I almost fell off the couch. When I finally found the medicine, I took it, and only then did I fall into a deep sleep. But this time, I went to the guest room. When I woke up again, it was already evening. It had been a whole day and night. No one noticed that I was sick. Not even my girlfriend of several years, Liu Ruyan. She received a call from her secretary late and rushed off on a business trip. She didn't even bring luggage. Even though she passed by the couch a few times on her way out, she acted as if she didn't see me, her legitimate boyfriend. I didn't know anything about Liu Ruyan's business trip until the 3rd day. It was only that I heard from her secretary. She had been running a low fever that never subsided. I couldn't muster the energy to work on the design draft, so I decided to take a taxi to the hospital myself. But I didn't expect to run into Kong, who was filming at the hospital outpatient clinic. He was wearing a suit, his posture upright, his face perfect. He had been known for his stunning looks in the entertainment industry for a long time because of his face. Even after 3 years of developing abroad, as soon as he returned to China, he was still surrounded by countless fans. Leaders held scripts begging him to collaborate. There were many professional photographers on set. Since it was a public place, fans surrounded him in a never-ending circle. I looked haggard, sick with a cold and fever. My body trembled with chills. I was wearing a thick coat and looked like a stark contrast to the well-groomed man surrounded by the crowd. I struggled to squeeze through the crowd, trying to make my way to the clinic. Unexpectedly, I caught He Kang's gaze. For some reason, he smiled at me. I froze as if rooted to the spot. My pupils constricted in shock. My heart felt like I was in an cold unbearable. He was wearing a necklace around his neck. It was a piece of jewelry I had designed myself. It was the design I had drawn countless times in drafts. I named it Wuyi, which represented my love for Liu Ruyan. It was a gift I gave Liu Ruyan on our 6-month anniversary. At the time, he had red-rimmed eyes. He knew I had spent months carving the necklace by hand. Feng Yuan, brother, I will treasure this. This is your heart's intention. Since then, he had never taken off that necklace. Whether he was on a business trip or at a banquet, I never expected that just a few days after He Kang returned, he would be wearing that necklace around his neck. He Kang invited me to meet him at a cafe. After I got my prescription at the hospital, I suddenly received a text message. I instinctively clenched my fist until my palm burned with heat. I finally replied, okay. The location was the nearest cafe to the hospital. When I walked in, I was shocked to find that the cafe had been cleared out by He Kang. It was just He Kang and me inside. You wanted to talk to me about something? I straightened up, trying to show a perfect smile. In front of this group of rich heirs and heiresses, I couldn't help but feel inferior. Long time no see. He Kang's first words were. The next second, I heard his loud laugh. I never imagined that the poor boy, who had once been bullied and aided Ruyan's rescue, would actually dare to have any unseemly thoughts toward him. Feng Yuan, do you think you're worthy of him? You're just a poor kid. By chance, you appeared in our circle like a clown. You really are like a rat in the gutter, always lingering, never disappearing. His voice was cold, full of disdain. With each word, my face grew paler, till finally, I could feel beads of sweat forming on my forehead. I pressed my hand to my stomach, feeling sharp pangs of pain shoot through it. Since yesterday, I hadn't eaten anything. In the past few years, while helping Liu Ruyan build her career, the stomach issues I had developed resurfaced. It felt like there was an invisible hand stirring my stomach. But now she is my girlfriend. Do your fans know you want to be a mistress? I tried to hold my breath, not letting my body reveal my weakness in front of He Kang. I coldly retorted. Besides, the one who abandoned her back then was you, wasn't it? He laughed. His smile was dazzling. He looked even more handsome now. You're the mistress, Feng Yuan. It's you who took advantage of the situation. We've been childhood sweethearts for so many years. I was just abroad for a short time. Very well. Ruyan doesn't love you. Am I right, you guess? The night I returned to the country, the man who usually doesn't like socializing, why did he drink so much? And why did he only return home in the early morning? Because he loves me. His smile grew wider. If something were to happen to us at the same time, who do you think he would protect? Would he protect you, or would he protect me? Even if I abandon him, he would only love me. This is the promise between us. A sense of helplessness surged within me. But my subconscious told me that what he said was true. But now, Liu Ruyan is still my girlfriend. We haven't broken up. We are still in a relationship. So I coldly curled my lips. It's impossible, He Kang smiled faintly. Then let's wait and see. Feng Yuan, you only deserve to live a filthy and degrading life. Suddenly, a bad premonition surged within me. That premonition quickly came true. News that He Kang was injured on set and hospitalized soon topped the trending charts. His fans were like loyal soldiers, unwavering in their devotion to him. Everyone felt intense sympathy for him. Many fans made videos and pushed them online. Soon, the whole internet was flooded with it. Everyone was concerned about He Kang's health. At the same time, a question emerged in everyone's minds. How did He Kang get injured? After all, He Kong is the young master of the He family. Everyone in the circle dotes on him. Who would dare to hurt him? It seemed like there was an army of online trolls behind it. The public's criticism quickly turned towards me. Could it be Fang Yuan? I heard he's the kind of petty person who seeks revenge for even the smallest slight. Master He is such a nice guy. The only person he's had conflicts with is Fang Yuan. I thought so too. Fang Yuan doesn't look like a good person. He just looks like the type who would bully a sweet angel like He Kong. I feel sorry for our Master He being dragged down by the mistress in the gutter with President Liu. Their back and forth was all over the place. All the public opinion was tied to me. I couldn't shake it off no matter what. And then came the surveillance footage of me meeting He Kong at the cafe, which was exposed by the coffee shop staff. The video only had visuals, no sound. But everyone saw. After I stormed out in anger, He Kong stood there lost, watching my back. After a long while, He Kong tried to stand up, but collapsed heavily on the ground, fainting. The staff rushed out from behind the counter, dialing for an ambulance. Once the video went viral, I was blasted even more across the internet. Oh my god, was He Kong poisoned? Someone called the police and sent Fang Yuan to jail. People thought Fang Yuan was just the third party interfering with their relationship. But now, he's trying to kill someone? And there were those all-powerful netizens who dug up the fact that He Kong, Liu Ruian, and I all went to the same high school. Oh, this is really a filthy rat's relationship, always lurking, trying to ruin my precious son's and daughter's happy life. Go die. My photos from being bullied were shared all over the internet. There were pictures of me being forced to kneel, licking the floor, and pictures of me covered in bruises after being beaten, cowering in a corner, and one photo of me, drenched in water, lying helplessly on the ground, holding my grandmother's ashes. When I saw the last picture, a loud ringing filled my head. My grandmother, she was the best person to me in this world. How could they use such words to insult her? He Kang's fans commented below the photo. Turns out she's dead. When did she die, and why didn't anyone bring her grandson to her? I knew this old woman was no good. She died young after all. No wonder Fang Yuan has no manners. Turns out the old lady never taught him any better. My eyes turned red. My fists clenched tightly. The anger in my heart made me want to go He Kong. Then the sound of the door opening. It was Liu Ruian, whom I hadn't seen in a week. Her eyes were bloodshot. Her clothes were wrinkled. She rushed towards me as soon as she saw me. She slapped me hard across the face. I told you, I could marry you, give you the identity you wanted. But why did you have to harm He Kong? My face was turned to the side from her slap. My right cheek burned with pain. Fang Yuan, you need to go to the hospital and apologize to He Kong. Otherwise, I can't protect you anymore. Fang Yuan, He Kong, who is close to whom and who is distant? Anyone can tell. I couldn't understand. I was his boyfriend. I was the one who stayed with him through his lowest moments. But he didn't even listen to my explanation. He had already made his final judgment on me. I stared at him, unwavering. For the past few days, he hadn't gone home. He must have been staying at the hospital, taking care of He Kong. No need to guess. The intimate photos of them in the hospital room had already spread across the internet in these past few days. Liu Ruian, I didn't poison him. I would never do such a thing. But I still need to explain. You can't just blame me for everything. At the same time, I said what I had been wanting to tell Liu Ruian since He Kong returned. We are in a relationship now. The internet keeps calling me the third party. I hope you can clarify things publicly. Without hesitation, he rejected my request. No, He Kong is an emperor of the screen. His reputation in the entertainment industry is very important to him, and we are childhood sweethearts. I hope you understand. He's an important friend to me. You'll understand, right? I know! Liu Ruyan may not like me that much, but I've liked him for many years. I don't ask for passionate love. I just want it to last. Hearing these words, my heart sank further. But I also found it laughable. Why should I understand? Especially when I thought of my design studio, which was being slandered and defamed on a large scale. Extreme fans had even come to my studio, throwing paint and trash at it. I asked him, what about me? My reputation doesn't matter? He avoided my gaze. His eyes were red and puffy. For the first time, I looked at Liu Ruyan with disgust in my eyes. I coldly glared at him. The next second, I slapped him back just as hard. Let's cancel our engagement. Once the words were out, I felt a sense of relief. It felt like a heavy burden had been lifted. If I had still been eagerly awaiting the wedding just half a month ago, that one day I would be the one to let go of my feelings. Sure enough, the filter of the white moonlight is invincible. In such a short time after He Kong returned to the country, Liu Ruyan was already completely thrown off balance, and it allowed me to see clearly. I wondered if the person in front of me was even worth continuing to like. Cutting my losses was the best strategy for me. If He Kong doesn't publicly apologize to me and admit that he spread lies and slander, I will take legal action to protect myself. I will also move my things out of here as soon as possible. I wish you and He Kong a long-lasting relationship. Liu Ruyan didn't agree to my request to break off the engagement, but she still hasn't come home for a long time, spending day and night at the hospital with He Kong, showing concern. She was completely inconsiderate. She called it redeeming me. Redeeming my ass. I didn't do anything wrong. I already clarified once. After moving all my things out of the villa, I immediately used the savings from these years of work to buy a new house. I also arranged for a private investigator to look into He Kong's background. He Kong still hasn't apologized. His fans are still attacking me and my grandmother online. I'm definitely going to take matters into my own hands. I moved all my things out of the villa. That day, Liu Ruyan called me. Can you stop causing trouble? Don't use the breakup threat to pressure me. If you keep doing this, we will really be done. Then when you beg me, I won't forgive you anymore. I never imagined the girl who once stood up for me when I was being bullied would change so much over time, become so unfamiliar, so unable to tell right from wrong. Living in this villa for years, the only thing I packed was a small suitcase. I looked down at the suitcase. Everything inside belonged to me. To be honest, I was ready to part ways with Liu Ruyan. I meant it. Because of how she had helped me before, I could give He Kong a chance. If he comes out and apologizes and urges his fans to stop, I would consider it. I gripped my phone tightly. The call to break off the engagement was abruptly cut off from the other side. At first, when I thought about breaking up with Liu Ruyan, my heart would ache. But now, I could say it so calmly. I could say I was ending the engagement. I felt a sense of dazedness. But what I didn't expect was, after He Kong returned, Liu Ruyan, who had always been indifferent to me, would refuse to agree to the breakup. It felt like she was trying to compete with me. Photos of her and He Kong being affectionate at the hospital spread across the internet. From time to time, she would be seen feeding He Kong. Even though He Kong was apparently poisoned, his hands and feet seemed paralyzed. Or perhaps they were just sweetly gazing at each other in the hospital room, their eyes full of emotion. The CP fans below were even happier than during the New Year. The day He Kong publicly announced he would be discharged, I received a text from Liu Ruyan. Are you feeling very sad right now? As long as you beg me, I will forgive you. I'll allow you to stay by my side. I didn't respond. I couldn't understand it anymore. Liu Ruyan, with her white moonlight right beside her. How could she still think of me? So I just took a screenshot of the message, As the rumors of their reconciliation spread like wildfire, I received an order to meet at the cafe and discuss design drafts. Perhaps it was a failure in love, but a success in work. The heads of several companies that my studio often collaborated with all knew my character. They didn't cancel our cooperation. They even asked if I needed help clearing things up online. I politely declined. After 3 years of working with Liu when she had rescued me in my youth, I remembered that kindness. So I was willing to let Liu Ruyan and them handle their own apology. Give them a chance to wrap things up. Today's collaboration was the first client to approach me in a while. I took it seriously. I had been waiting in the cafe early, but after waiting for so long, it was already past the agreed time. He still hadn't shown up. I decided to call the client. Suddenly, loud screams and shouts echoed from outside. Through the large floor-to-ceiling window, I saw Liu Ruyan surrounded by a crowd in the middle. She was wearing a high-end gown, her makeup stunning and bright. She looked like she had been enjoying her time lately. Seeing Liu Ruyan, my heart still ached, unavoidable. I pressed my hand to my chest. I will let go eventually. I'm slowly letting go now. The screams from the crowd continued. And then Kong suddenly appeared, holding a bouquet of roses. He smiled, his beautiful eyes full of affection. Let's get back together. Ruyan, since leaving you, I've thought of nothing but our past. Can you give me a chance to walk by your side again? Liu Ruyan actually hesitated. She didn't nod immediately. She didn't agree right away. The client had missed the appointment time and wasn't answering their phone. I guess that Kong had arranged this meeting. I couldn't help but smile. They invited me here today. Wasn't it just to show me their dramatic reconciliation? Liu Ruyan's lips moved. It seemed like a refusal, but also an agreement. After a long pause, she smiled and said, "Okay." The sound of camera shutters clicked one after another. Everything was arranged by Kong in advance. Under the barrage of media cameras, the two of them kissed. Strangely, my heart didn't hurt at all. I just calmly watched, listening to the cheers of the crowd around me. A broken mirror, now whole again. It was actually true. I'm dead from this. They're such a perfect match. I remained calm until I felt a velvet box in my briefcase. It suddenly hit me I had rushed out this morning. I grabbed a bag I hadn't used in a long time. This was the bag Liu Ruyan had brought me when she went abroad on a business trip. She said I was negotiating a deal, and that business was going well. I had liked him before, so I cherished everything he gave me. But after we broke up, I placed this briefcase aside. I fished out a red velvet box from inside. I suddenly remembered that this was the wedding ring I had designed and made by hand. I had just never had the chance to give it to her. And then I remembered. Liu Ruyan's white moonlight had returned. I opened the box. Inside were a pair of dazzling diamond rings, which subtly bore the engravings I had made for the two of us. I had carved them with my own hands. Fang Yuan. Before I left the cafe, I threw the ring into the trash can, relying on the passionate heat of youth. It could never reach its final destination. But I didn't expect that Liu Ruyan, who should have been tangled up with her white moonlight, would appear at my doorstep. The moment Fang Yuan saw me, he showed a look of grievance. "Why didn't you come back to take care of me? The things at home are left in disarray without you. I'm not used to it at all. I haven't had a meal cooked by you in so long. The smell of the clothes isn't as nice as the detergent you bought." For 3 years, I took care of Liu Ruyan with great attention to detail. I observed his preferences little by little. I made sure that no small grievance in his life went unnoticed. My assistant said my hands were meant for designing, and I should take good care of them. But I still cooked for Liu Ruyan every day. "Fang Yuan, I miss you so much." A pain shot through my temple. Liu Ruyan was still wearing the clothes from last night. She reeked of strong alcohol from a hangover. The smell was unbearable. I had been sick recently, and the stench made me instinctively take a step back. I even gagged. Liu Ruyan's eyes were red. Her face was filled with both pain and confusion. Now, you think I'm disgusting? Did you see the news? She was eager to explain. I didn't want to agree to him yesterday. He took it upon himself to confess to me. But there were too many people around. I couldn't let him lose face. Later, I explained everything to He Kong. Without you at home, I feel like I can't live comfortably. I used to like you, but now I realize I love you. Let's get back together. Will you come back and take care of me again? Maybe I pampered Liu Ruyan too much. I treated her like a princess, spoiling her so much that she became uncontrollable. She even dares to say such shameless things. I pushed Liu Ruyan away. She tried to pull my hand back. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. How can you be so shameless? How can you say something like that? Do you love me now? Did you suddenly realize that ... You miss the male nanny who was always by your side? It's just that you're feeling unbalanced. Liu Ruyan says she loves me, but has she ever done anything to show that love? Does she love He Kong now? But she shows no sign of it. She clearly loves him deeply. I don't believe it. I don't believe that someone could love someone but not show it. In this world ... How could you love someone and not express it? How could the person who is loved not notice it? How can the person sitting next to the fire not feel its warmth? Liu Ruyan opened her mouth, as if to speak. I saw it. She was wearing the necklace I had given her again. The pendant shone brightly in the sunlight. I turned my gaze away in disgust. You're not supposed to wear that necklace. Didn't you already give it to He Kong? Why are you wearing it again today when you came to see me? No, that night, I was drunk. I stayed at He King's place for the night. I left the necklace with him temporarily. He secretly wore it. I didn't know about it. We were just two single people staying together at night. So this is what you call not loving He Kong. I remember we didn't break up back then. You made me wear the green hat. How dare you come to me today and ask for reconciliation? Liu Ruyan, let's part on good terms. I'm starting to wonder if I'm an idiot. Your kindness to me when we were young. I could have just helped you make a comeback. Why did I foolishly give my all to you? And then be trampled on like this? Liu Ruyan, this is the last time I'll warn you. Make He Kong clarify the truth. Otherwise, once I issue a statement, it won't be so easy to settle this. The clarification should be that he interfered with our relationship, trying to be the mistress. As far as I know, you and He Kong have never been in a relationship. When the Liu family was at its lowest, he left for abroad without hesitation. It was me who stayed and helped you make a comeback. When I clarified that he bought trolls to slander me and defamed my family ... I turned my gaze away in disgust. I no longer wanted to focus on this woman who couldn't tell right from wrong. Doesn't she know that He Kong abandoned her? She knows, but she just doesn't care about me. Because love can blind everything. Just like how I loved him before. Even though I knew he didn't love me, I still turned a blind eye. I closed the door abruptly, and I realized I would never feel pain for Liu Ruyan again. Finally, he left in a daze. I waited for He King's apology statement at home. But after half a month, there was still no movement on the internet. His studio was silent. Even his fans were quiet. I'm sure her agent must have started controlling the fans. Meanwhile, Liu Ruyan kept trying to please me. She used the methods I had once used to take care of her to win me over. She brought me flowers in the morning. They were roses and I'm allergic to pollen. She forgot. At noon, she personally cooked chicken soup for me. She had always been the type who never lifted a finger. After the Liu family fell on hard times, I was still the one taking care of her. The soup she made was barely drinkable. It was pitch black. If it weren't for Liu Ruyan's slightly red eyes, full of sincerity, I would have suspected she was trying to poison me. After I let go of my love for Liu Ruyan, all I felt was annoyance. Could you stop appearing in front of me? Is your company no longer your concern? Let's part on good terms. Rejected, he appeared in front of me again after I finished work. I got tickets for the art exhibition. Let's go together this weekend, okay? He pleaded with me, angry and desperate. I remembered how I had asked Liu Ruyan to go to the exhibition several times. And every time, she would refuse, saying she was busy. Liu Ruyan would skip class. But when I saw He Qiang's old Weibo, she would skip work, no matter how busy she was. As long as He Kong invited her, she would go. She just didn't like me. Slowly, I stopped inviting her. I shook my head, laughing bitterly. My heart is already dead. I don't love you anymore. You started to panic. Before, you took advantage of my love for you, spending my love carelessly. I don't like you. And how you come to please me? Liu Ruyan. How pathetic. Are you? He doesn't love me anymore. She's just mimicking how I treated him before. Give me another round of that. I walked around him and drove straight home. My assistant sent me a WeChat message. It was a video. In the video, Liu Ruyan stared blankly at my back. Her eyes were getting redder. Sadness overflowed the screen. Finally, she collapsed on the ground, crying hysterically. Like a dog abandoned by its owner. I sighed at the sight of her. My assistant said Liu Ruyan seems really heartbroken. It looks like she really likes you now. She cried on the ground for half an hour earlier. Eventually, it was He Kong who came to pick her up, and only then did she leave. I typed, so, do you hope we reconcile? I just think Liu Ruyan is crazy. I always thought she didn't deserve you. She must be pathetic. I said casually. At 2 a.m., I was woken by the sound of my phone ringing. It was my assistant, He Qiang's fan. They were starting to organize and systematically attack me. I took a glance at the trending topics. The top one was Zunming Studio accused of plagiarism. Zunming Studio was something I created from scratch. Everyone knew that. The chief designer was the boss. I was accused of plagiarizing a rising designer's work and of threatening him. Fans below were attacking fiercely. I knew He Kong was starting to take action. The previous silence was just a cover. He who cherishes his reputation so much. How could he apologize? Once he apologized, he would be stuck in disgrace forever. So he first tarnished my reputation. Even if I step forward to expose him later, the public won't believe me. They will just think I'm seeking revenge. It's a pity I'm no longer the person I was years ago. The one who couldn't fight back against bullying. I've grown much stronger over the years. Several late-night business partners messaged me, asking if I needed help clarifying things. I politely declined their help. He Kong still hadn't apologized or clarified anything. I was thinking about how to respond, but then he walked right into my trap. Let the public opinion grow bigger. Let it attract more attention. I looked at the email from the private investigator in my inbox. By the next day, I was all over the top 10 trending topics. Intellectual property protection is an issue that everyone cares about. As the person involved, I became the infamous villain on the internet. The entire internet was watching the development of this story. I woke up comfortably from a good sleep and then went to the police station to file a report. I reported the case of deliberate online defamation and incitement of cyberbullying. I was editing a Weibo post to share the police report. A figure suddenly rushed toward me. They shouted, "It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, my He Kong would never be so upset." It was one of He Qiang's fans. My pupils tightened. A bottle of clear liquid was thrown at me. I wasn't hurt. It was just a young fan, a teenager who hadn't fully matured. Seeing the online uproar, they were defending their idol. The fan got into a scuffle and was brought to the police station. When they saw me, they excitedly grabbed a bottle of water from the table and threw it at me. When this incident broke, the public opinion online started to stabilize. I've seen Fang Yuan's designs. I've always followed his jewelry designs. They're so much better than that so-called designer. How could he possibly plagiarize? It has to be said, this guy really is unlucky. As far as I know, He Kong, the great film emperor, knew about the Liu family's bankruptcy and immediately left for abroad. When the Liu family got back on their feet, he came rushing back to China. He released a joint press statement, claiming that the real boyfriend was the third party. It was his fans who spread the hate. I'm so tired of all the marketing. They kept talking about how He Kong gloriously returned, but the white moonlight was definitely someone who couldn't make it in the overseas entertainment industry. Before heading to the police, I had my assistant do some things. I'm sure they were successful. The He family had their own problems, including He Kong, such obvious doubts, and his trolls didn't even bother to help. Watching the public opinion escalate, I had already blocked and deleted Liu Ruyan a long time ago. Now I quietly added her back on WeChat and sent her the files. She replied almost instantly. Fang Yuan, I've already had the PR department involved. I believe in you. You're not the type of person to plagiarize. This time, I won't let He Kong off. I'll make sure he pays the price. If he doesn't apologize, I'll make sure he apologizes to you. The typing indicator kept blinking. I still said the same thing. The child is dead. I know where it's from. I typed with a bit of schadenfreude. Just take a look at the files first. I quickly blocked and deleted her again in one go. Looking out at the clear, sunny sky, I realized that I really don't like Liu Ruyan anymore. I wasn't thinking about how she might collapse emotionally next. Instead, I felt ... It wasn't sympathy. But truly, she deserved it. Isn't she in love with her white moonlight? Your white moonlight is the very reason your family went bankrupt. I laughed. Your white moonlight has betrayed you. The Liu family and the He family were good business partners. But in this chaotic world, everyone seeks profit and mutual benefit. When a project had immense potential, but also huge risks, the He family didn't hesitate for a second. They encouraged old Liu to take it on. If the project succeeded, the He family would benefit. If it failed, the Liu family would bear the loss. In the end, the project failed. Actually, old Liu could have turned things around. But when he went to the He family for help, the He family was tempted by the massive profits. They quickly tore up the cooperation agreement and set out to devour the Liu family. They delivered the heaviest blow to old Liu, who trusted them. The rest is history. The Liu family went bankrupt. The He family rose to become an even bigger conglomerate. He Kong knew all of this. He was involved. The Liu family treated him like one of their own. That's why he could easily enter Liu Ruyan's study and steal many confidential documents. After the He family's success, he decisively left, abandoning everything. If Liu Ruyan hadn't made a comeback, with business booming, and if Liu Ruyan hadn't seemed to notice He Kong's involvement in everything, he came back. He Kong is lucky. At that time, so much was happening with the Liu family. No one noticed. But as the saying goes, you walk by the river, how can you not get wet? Those who are bloodthirsty will eventually make a move. If the He family can betray once, they can betray the next one over a single business deal. For years, the He family has risen by stepping on their partners. Their methods are clever, but no one can be perfect and flawless. I just teamed up with a few other companies that were suppressed by the He family to cause a little disturbance, but I didn't expect the situation to escalate so much. In just a few hours, it caused turmoil within the He family. Those who didn't rise to the top by strength will eventually be brought down by their own actions. I said to the phone screen, Liu Ruyan, you don't need to thank me. I just wanted you to be aware. While I'm abroad negotiating deals, my assistant is passing me updates from home. I heard the Liu family teamed up with other companies, going crazy targeting the He family. They're acting with a mindset of harming the enemy while damaging themselves. Even if their own business suffers, they don't care. He Kong went to the Liu family to plead. But before he even got into Liu Ruyan's office, he was thrown out. In the video, He Kong was wearing a wrinkled suit. His demeanor was more disheveled than ever. Clearly, these days haven't been easy for him. The He family is struggling to protect themselves. The suppressed news kept exploding one after another. He Kong bullied classmates on set. He threatened new actors. He made actors remove their makeup. Even videos of him partying with too many. During his time back in China, He Kong had used the white moonlight title and didn't hesitate to pull down his fellow actors. Everyone had to swallow their pride because of the He family and Liu family backing him. The Liu and He families were clearly at odds. The He family's stock market plummeted, and their support system was on the verge of collapse. So people began to retaliate. What He Kong did to others, they returned with double the force. Suddenly, more and more of He Kong, only his fans still stuck by him, believing in their brother. Brother is not that kind of person. Will always be by his side during his low points. Anyone who unfollows him, I'll lose respect for them. The son and daughter must have had an argument. Just wait, they'll reconcile. These CP fans are truly loyal. Now it's my turn to make an appearance. At the height of the public opinion storm, I posted a long Weibo response addressing the controversies. I clarified that the period I was with Liu Ruyan coincided with the time He Kong abandoned her and went abroad. I've always had the habit of recording because I need to listen to my clients' needs regularly. So when I met He Kong at the cafe, I also recorded the conversation. He was too careless. He always thought I was just a powerless poor person, someone who wouldn't dare oppose him. The audio was unedited. The recording lasts for several minutes, capturing everything from when I entered to when I left. He kept insulting and provoking me. I didn't have time to poison anyone. The audio is packed with information. I'm not the mistress. It also exposes him attempting to interfere in this relationship and didn't expose it. He even confessed in the audio that he had slept with He Kong when he was drunk. These pieces of evidence are more than enough. On top of that, I exposed the conversation records between He Kang's manager and the artist who reported me for plagiarism. Everything was orchestrated by He Kong. I told you. I've called the police. The police will give me justice. Now He Kang's manager is already in custody. Suddenly, CP fans couldn't accept that their perfect love story was just the mistress opportunistically rising to power. Liu Ruyan had built the image of a light-hearted CEO. Turns out he's just a capitalist who loves to find mistresses. His persona collapsed. Someone dug up my story with Liu Ruyan. When he was at his lowest, I appeared by his side. I stayed with him as he made a comeback. My CP fans started growing. What kind of love is this? Liu Ruyan, you gave up. Someone who loved you this much. Doesn't it hurt you when you wake up in the middle of the night? I find it disgusting. I reported it clean and simple. He Kang's fans were dumbfounded. They thought their idol was a poor victim who needed their protection. But it turns out their idol was the one doing harm. Fans all apologized to me. They said they shouldn't have insulted me. But I won't forgive them. I hired a lawyer and sued everyone who insulted me. He Kang's fans lost face. His career is completely finished. I forgot to mention, his protector, He Jia, went down with him. They're both completely done. The last time I saw Liu Ruyan, I had decided to shift my studio's focus abroad. He had lost quite a bit of weight. The clothes that once fit perfectly now hung loosely on him. I knew these past months hadn't been easy for him. Those youthful photos of us, they were so beautiful, like a painting. I heard he's been looking for business partners lately, trying to save his crumbling financial chain. But who would be as foolish as I was? Helping him without expecting anything in return. That's why he hasn't found a partner. The Liu family is still teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. Did I disappoint you so much? There was a long silence. Then he suddenly spoke. I nodded, then shook my head. Finally, I said, it's okay. I don't love you anymore. Then I added, congratulations. Deepening went bankrupt. I saw the news, it's not looking good. You can now treat your white moonlight as your little pet. His eyes reddened more and more. His body trembled. Liu Ruyan slowly released her tightly clenched hand. Inside were 2 rings. I threw them in the cafe trash can. I don't know how he got them back. He tried to hand them to me. I took a step back. I don't need them. Just throw them away. They're too dirty. And besides, I'll design a new ring for my lover in the future. I wondered if he would ever move again. His voice was hoarse. Can't we start over? Don't disgust me. The thing I regret most is loving you. I should have just helped you. Instead, I gave you my heart and you shattered it. Liu Ruyan was gone, never to be seen again. I walked away, leaving her behind. I walked further. And further. And I didn't look back even once.